This is lesson 24, part 3, and we're going to continue reviewing and practicing together. One way we can categorize time signatures is by their beat pattern, or in other words, by how many beats per measure they contain. Duple meters will have 2 beats per measure, triple meters will have 3 big beats per measure, and quadruple meters will have 4 big beats per measure. Another way we can categorize time signatures is by their quality. Two of the most common qualities are simple time and compound time. In simple meters, a basic or undotted note value is designated as the beat or pulse note. What defines simple time is that because the beat or pulse note is an undotted or basic note value, every beat naturally divides into 2 equal parts. Pieces or songs written in simple time will have an even feel to them. If you feel as if you could walk, march, or run to the pulse of a song or piece, it's likely it's written in simple meter. Some examples of songs written in simple meter include Joy to the World, Angels We Have Heard on High, and Old MacDonald Had a Farm. In simple meters, guitarists will need to play a straight strum pattern. And simple meters will always have a 2, a 3, or a 4 as the top number of the time signature. In simple time, we can take the time signature at face value. So if the top number is a 4, we can know that we'll have 4 beats per measure. And if the bottom number is a 2, we can know that a half note will be our beat or pulse note. In compound meters, a dotted note value is designated as the big beat or pulse note. What defines compound time signatures is that because the big beat or pulse note is a dotted note value, every beat naturally divides into 3 equal parts or little beats. Pieces or songs written in compound meter will have an uneven feel to them. If you feel as if you could rock, swing, or even gallop to the beat of a song or piece, it is likely it is written in compound meter. Some examples of songs written in compound meter include What Child Is This?, Silent Night, and Hickory Dickory Dock. In compound meter, guitarists will need to play a swung strum pattern. And compound time signatures will always have a 6, a 9, or a 12 as the top number of the time signature. In compound time signatures, the top number of the time signature tells us how many subdivided or little beats will be in each measure. And the bottom number tells us which note value will be our subdivided or little beat or pulse note. From there, we can do the math and figure out which dotted note value will be our big beat or pulse note.
When we are trying to categorize time signatures by their quality, meaning whether they are simple or compound time, or by their beat pattern, meaning whether they are duple, triple, or quadruple meter, we don't ever need to look at the bottom number of the time signature. We just need to look at the top number. So if it's a 2, a 3, or a 4, we know it's going to be simple time. And we can also know just by looking at those numbers if it's going to be duple, triple, or quadruple time. If the top number is a 2, we know that we have 2 beats per measure. Therefore, we are in duple meter. And we can also know that because the top number is a 2, a 3, or a 4, we are also in simple meter. Therefore, we can know that the bottom number of the time signature will represent our beat or pulse note and that it will naturally divide into 2 equal parts. If we see a 3 as the top number of the time signature, we can know that there will be 3 beats per measure, so we must be in triple meter. And because the top number of the time signature is a 2, a 3, or a 4, we also know we're in simple meter. And therefore, when we look at the bottom number of the time signature, we can know what undotted or basic note value will be our beat or pulse note, which will naturally divide into 2 equal parts. If the top number is a 4, We can know there will be 4 beats per measure, so we'll be in quadruple meter. And because the top number of the time signature is either a 2, a 3, or a 4, we also know we are in simple time. Therefore, when we look at the bottom number of the time signature, we can know we're looking at the beat or pulse note, and it will naturally divide into 2 equal parts. If the top number of the time signature is a 6, a 9, or a 12, we can know we're going to be in compound meter. And we can know that we're going to have to do one extra step of decoding before we can figure out what our dotted note value or big beat or pulse note value will be. If the top number of our time signature is a 6, we can know that we're going to be in compound time, and that 6 tells us that there are 6 subdivided or little beats in each measure. The bottom number will tell us what our subdivided or little beat or pulse note is. So we can know that in 6/2 time, we will have 6 half-note subdivided beats in each measure. From there, we recall that a defining characteristic of compound time is that each dotted note value or big beat or pulse note naturally divides into 3 equal parts. So 3 of these half notes together will be equal to our dotted note value or big beat or pulse note. 2 half notes are worth a whole note, and if we add a dot to that, the dot adds half the value of the whole note, so we have a total then of 3 half notes worth of duration in that dotted whole note. So we have 2 big beats or 2 dotted whole note beats in each measure in 6/2 time. This is why it's classified as a duple meter, because there are 2 big beats in each measure in 6/2 time. A shortcut for knowing that would just be that 2 beats times 3 subdivisions within each beat will give you 6. So anytime you see a 6 as the top number of a time signature, you can know we are in duple meter. If we see a 9 as the top number of a time signature, we can know that because the top number is either a 6, a 9, or a 12, we must be in compound meter. So we can know that there must be 9 subdivided beats in each measure, and that a quarter note must be our subdivided or little beat or pulse note. We can draw out 9 quarter note beats, and we can recall that because we're in compound time or compound meter, we're going to be grouping those subdivided beats into 3, and from there we'll be able to tell what our big beat or dotted note value pulse will be. So if we group 3 quarter notes together, the equivalent dotted note value we'll be left with is a dotted half note. So a dotted half note will be our big beat or pulse note in 9/4 time. You'll notice that we have 3 big beats per measure, and this is why it's defined as compound triple time. The shortcut, of course, is triple meter, means 3 beats per measure, because our time signature represents how many subdivided beats we have in each measure, and in compound meter, we know that each big beat or pulse note is a dotted note value that's naturally divided into 3 equal parts. We can say 3 times 3, 3 big beats times 3 subdivided beats in each of those beats equals 9. So anytime you see a 9 as the top number of a time signature, you can know you are in triple compound meter. If we see a 12 as the top number of the time signature, we can know that because the top number of the time signature is either a 6, a 9, or a 12, we must be in compound meter. So that reminds us that in compound meter, because the top number of the time signature tells us how many subdivided beats there are on a measure, we must have 12 subdivided beats in each measure. The bottom number of the time signature and compound meter tells us what kind of note value our subdivided or little beat will be. So in 12/8 time, we will have 12 eighth note beats in each measure. And we also know that a defining characteristic of compound meter is that the big beat is a dotted note value that naturally divides into 3 equal parts. So the dotted note value that is equivalent to 3/8 notes is a dotted quarter note. And there are 4 of these dotted quarter note or big beat or pulse notes in each measure in 12/8 time, and this is why it's classified as a quadruple meter. The shortcut for remembering this is that 4 big beats times 3 little beats or subdivided beats within each of those big beats equals a total of 12 little beats per measure. So anytime you see a 12 as the top number of a time signature, you can know we are in quadruple compound meter or compound quadruple meter. Returning to Rhythm Workshop by Sally K. Albrecht. We are returning to exercise 8 in the 4-4 section of the book. And we'll be starting with example 4. So as always, we'll start by decoding the time signature. The top number of the time signature tells us that we can expect 4 beats per measure. And the bottom number tells us that a quarter note will be our beat or pulse note. From there, we can go down to our note and rest value pyramids and just assign specific beat durations. So quarter notes and quarter rests will be 1 beat, half notes and half rests, 2 beats, whole notes and whole rests, 4 beats, and eighth notes and eighth rests will just be half of a beat. Because it's a 1 beat note, then all our quarter notes will be do. If we see a half note, a multi-beat note, we will say do as well, but we will just hold that for 2 counts, do. If we see a whole note, we will hold that do syllable for 4 counts. Note that we are in quadruple simple meter because the top number of the time signature is either a 2, a 3, or a 4. And because we have 4 beats in each measure, each beat will naturally divide into 2 equal parts. Because there is no note value on the page that is smaller than a quarter note, we don't need to worry too much about subdividing. I'm going to set the metronome at 70, and we're going to put this beat into our hands or feet. Ready, clap. Ready, speak. Do, do. Do, do. Do, do. Do, do. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Moving on to example 5. Ready, speak. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Do, do.